together with friends along the way, united with strength to face the day. We're together and now we're here to say, united we will be the change.
Well, dang, that's kind of nice. Shout out to Justin McHale and his songwriting class. Garrett Lajoie, Natanya Dahan, Tyrell Crawford, and Nick Hurst for the intro music for Above and Beyond. It's amazing. And welcome to day 8 of the 12 days of the AODA, and 12 days till we become, or 8 days now till we become fully accessible in 2025, January 1st, 2025. 1, 2, 3. Yay!
Yay!
You know, Maddie, I always start with a sentence, on the 8th day of the AOD, the Ford government gave or did not give to me. But I don't know if that really applies to our topic for today, and that's allyship.
Yeah, actually, no, it does. It's because of the lack of work the government has done that we've had to rely more on allyship. And the good news is that a lot of people have stepped up.
Well said. Stepped up, rolled up. Kind of taken the and I would say probably, Maddie, you and I really epitomize that as our allyship in terms of working together on these lives and these podcasts that we've been doing over the last several years to amplify the voices. And when we talk about allyship and amplifying the voices, we need to be mindful and respectful of listening to people with disabilities. When you've met one person with a disability, you've met one person with a disability. So in saying that, what your needs are may not be respective to my needs, and so on and so forth. And I think, and I want to say this in the most positive limelight as possible, and I think that's what confuses a lot of people, because disability and the diversity of disability is so huge that people may not know how to show allyship. And it starts with listening to the person with a disability.
Yeah. So for the last 3 days, we talked about autonomy, we talked about attitude, and today we're talking about allyship. And I think that really these first 2 A's are leading to this third A. So it starts with asking. It starts with looking at the barriers around and finding out what needs to be removed, and asking which barriers are the priority. Because the honest truth is there's 1,000 barriers around us. There's 1,000 things that may or may not challenge us. And the biggest problem we have is people doing things for us without asking us whether this is something important or not. And what they do and how they do it is just as important. So the asking and the centering on us means that you're doing things with us and not for us. Yeah. That's the key to allyship. Is that whole we have in the disability justice world, the mantra, nothing about us without us. So when you're doing things with us, you're actually doing things for us. But if you're doing things for us without us, you're doing things to us.
Yeah, and it sends itself and sends the message that people with disabilities should be grateful for what we're given rather than fighting for what we deserve. And the importance of allyship starts with people with disabilities and listening to people with disabilities from the get-go, and respecting our answers. If we say no, then it's no. It might look a little bit unorthodox, the way we do certain things may not be accustomed to what the quote-unquote proverbial norm is, but it's our way of accomplishing the task. It's our way of attaining and maintaining confidence in the accomplishment of a task rather than the steps it takes to complete it. And I think that in and of itself deserves.
Yeah, I mean, and if we're looking for examples on allyship, we've been involved for the last couple of years with a project through the city of Toronto and their construction accessibility. This is they took the time to ask us questions. They took us time to to make some suggestions and get our feedback on it, and then coming back with what the results of our feedback did to what they're looking at the final products and outcome to be. The whole process included us at every step, so it wasn't just having us brought to a meeting, asking some questions, and being on their merry way, and actually not seeing the changes that we were suggesting for us. It was phenomenal in the difference between this and so many other things that so many other projects that we've experienced. So much of the time, we're asked our opinion after something has been done, which becomes very, very challenging. And the attitude barrier pops up. I talked about yesterday. The attitude barrier pops up. If you've brought something to get a check mark at the end, and you're being told that, well, you didn't do it right, like that doesn't actually mean anything, or this is going to actually create more complications, you then get the backs of people's necks say, well, I did this for you. That's not allyship at all. Allyship means including us, doing things with us, so that we're together, we're co-designing our future.
100%, Maddie. And you just talked about the experience with Toronto has been nothing short of amazing. They've, been with us every step of the way. They've asked for our opinions and they've included our opinions throughout certain processes and listened. It wasn't just to appease a checklist. It wasn't just something to look good on a disclaimer, to look good on our marquee. But it was because they authentically and genuinely want to do it right. Above and beyond, pun intended, what the minimum standard and what the code represents. And, leaders like the city of Toronto need to be acknowledged and applauded for that, taking that effort to setting a new standard, beyond that of a minimum. I mean, I was there recently for a couple of events in Toronto, and, I stayed at a hotel, and I talked about this on one of our lives. The hotel pretty much was very accessible, except for the one small fixable thing in the shower where they had their shower accessories, the shampoo, conditioner, and soap, fixed to the wall, where you had the shower bench on the one side,
Yeah.
and then you couldn't reach the accessories.
Yeah,
So,
an
I
interesting thing. The reason behind those things being stuck in the wall was to solve their problem of the little packages that they would give everybody being taken, even if they're not being used. It was costing them so much money, and so that having this fixed and just having to refill things saved money. They didn't think it through.
no, they did not think
They
it
did
through.
not think that what the consequences of that economic choice would be, creating the unintended effects of making accessible things less accessible.
Maddie, I'm just checking your time here. You said one of those buzzwords that I wanted to touch on, and that's consequences.
Yeah.
There's so many consequences to action or lack thereof that government, buildings, architects, that agents, community members, business owners uh, are certainly, through their lack of providing, are, again, for lack of a better term, disabling many people from employment, from shopping at their facilities, going to their restaurants. And I think one of the upcoming lives throughout the 12 days of the AODA, Maddie, we should talk about is accessibility at a minimum standard versus accessibility at above and beyond type of standard. Because I think people with the mindset of meeting that code or meeting that minimum standard are doing right by people with disabilities, which inevitably they are, causing more strain for people with disabilities. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, again, it's all, the general principle in the world should be, if you want things to be accessible, then you got to ask the experts. And the experts are those of us that have the lived experience. Because if you're not asking us, you're going to create more complications for us and for others, as well as there's an economic cost of us not being included. There's only gain, there's only win-win when we're included. Whether or not it's for us to be it part of a workforce or part of the volunteer force or just participating in life. When we're not able to participate, there's 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 this large number of people that you're missing in the world. But when we're included, when there's accessibility, when we're involved in things from the beginning to the end of the process, everybody wins.
And we should be compensated equitably and equally for these consultation and this feedback, because otherwise it just continues to leave people with disabilities behind the eight ball. That's it for day 8 of our 12 days of the AODA becoming barrier free January 1st, 2025. Yay!
Yay!
We'll be back for day 7. Take care, everybody.
Together